All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Unanimous. Okay, moving into community leader reports. Kern County Sheriff's Office, Sergeant Anton.
Sergeant Anton for the Sheriff's Office. For January, we had 737 calls for service in Rosamond, 1,929 calls for the East area. We had 44 arrests and 111 for the East area. Had a couple issues. We're working with code compliance on a couple things, but going through code compliance takes a while. So some of the encampments that aren't supposed to be here, we're working with those to get those taken care of. We did have a big arrest that kind of made the news about the mail thefts, and then arrests last week. And we're still working that case. They did file 32 felony counts on each of the subjects that we arrested. So we recovered a lot of stolen checks, credit cards. We've been going through trying to locate victims and work on those cases. So, any questions?
I have a question. My mailbox has been broken into 3 times in approximately the last 2 years, and every time I called Kern Sheriff's Office, they say you got to call the postmaster. They do give me an ID number,
Right.
but other than that, is that all y'all can do? Is that?
Well, there at certain times where, like in this case, this all kind of stemmed from a lady that had her credit cards stolen. She was getting new credit cards in the mail. She hit a fraud alert the day that she got her new credit cards were supposed to be mailed. So we were able to follow up and do some stuff on it. Most of the time, people don't have any idea what's in their mailbox that day. So it's kind of hard for us to follow up until you know something is stolen and something that we can track. But this one was, actually it was a deputy that probably did a little bit more than most of the deputies would have done. Being that she had information that her credit cards, her brand new credit cards with different numbers, were being used at Walmart. And then Walmart had great security video. We put out a press release asking for help. In fact, per the PIO for the county, or for our department, it was the most viewed stuff that our department put out for that month. And we got tons of responses, and most people knew who they were.
Well, kudos to you guys.
Yes.
Good.
We'll work on your mailbox next.
Thank you.
Anything else, Sergeant Anton?
John's going to be here, but he had to go do something. He said he'd be back in a few minutes. So
You get back to it.
We'll come back to you. California Highway Patrol? Oh, that's who you're talking about. Sorry.
They're blonde.
They are. Kern County Supervisor Mike Clark will not be here tonight, so because of the snow up in the Tehachapi's there.
Can I add though that you guys had coffee with the cops and the CHP, and that was a good turnout, and it was very well attended also. I got a lot of help from that meeting. So.
Well, it would be good if we could all take and encourage other members of the community to avail themselves of that. I think it really helps to open your eyes as to the work that our first responders do and stuff like that. So let's promote those things if we can.
Well, I know they're busy because when I come home about 1:30, 2 o'clock in the morning from Santa Clarita, there's always one driving around. I just wait. It's the one time I'm not speeding.
I just wish you guys could catch the guy who is, or persons that are graffitiing all over with the KSOF or whatever, because they got that AT&T building right across from the elementary school, and there was really bad language on there, left way too long. So he's all over town, he or she, whatever.
yeah.
Okay, Rosamond Community Watch is going to hear from them tonight. Rosamond Community Services District, Greg?
Hi, just want to let everybody know that we're having a regular board, we're having a special board meeting tomorrow and a regular board meeting next Wednesday. I'd like to encourage everybody to attend. A lot of the things we're going to be talking about is the wastewater treatment plant, and we're going to be going over water acquisition, addressing issues on our water bank, percolation sites for water, and so we're going to be looking into the water issues to address our needs coming up in the future, because we, as everybody's aware, we are in the ramp down for the adjudication, and so we need to start getting busy and securing water rights for this community, and making sure that this community has a reliable, safe drinking water supply, not only today, but in the future as well. So I encourage everyone to come on out next week and hear what's going on and participate, and so we can make this a successful endeavor for everybody.
Is tomorrow's meeting open to the public?
Yes, it is.
What time is that, Greg?
Pardon?
What time is that?
2 o'clock.
I had a question, Greg, in relation to graffiti. What is the Rosamond Community Service District's response time when graffiti is in fact reported to you guys?
I don't know if we have if I can get you the information on specific response time. I do know that in the past, and like I've only been on the board now for just a very short time, but in the past, it was always handled that if you called the RCSD, that they would get somebody out there as soon as possible to sandblast it or cover it up to get rid of it, so it's not sitting out there for the public to see. There are constraints, we can't go on private property, and but we see it on the side of a building or whatever, and the owner says, hey, you got my okay to go ahead and get this off of the block wall or whatever, so, and we can do that. And but our intention is to get it addressed and get it removed as quickly as possible. And but that all entails everybody here. You're driving down the street, see some graffiti, pick up the phone, 256-3411, and just say, hey, I spotted some graffiti over here, or contact the sheriff's department. They'll get a hold of us, and it's a team effort.
I'd like to further that. The telephone building is actually, you have to ask permission from AT&T to do that. And when I did call Lizette, she got a hold of them immediately, and it took a few more days. But they have to work together to get that, to do that building. So you just can't go there, oh, we're going to fix it. You have to get permission from AT&T to do that.
Basically what the RCSD will do, like you said, if there's private property or businesses, we have to work together. We just can't go on property and start cleaning stuff up. But it's like, you go down down Rosamond Boulevard, if the block wall has been tagged up, or over on Wyandotte or Hook Avenue, somebody's tagged the block wall along the street. That's the stuff that we can go out immediately and sandblast and clean up the graffiti and get rid of it. Because that's not on anybody's property, that's public property. So if it's somewhere where we have to coordinate with the owners of the property, it's going to take a little more time to get it done. But if it's on on a public road, and we can get out there and get to it, then we'll take care of it right away.
I'd like to throw out there, somewhere, we need to install some cameras, especially on that AT&T building, because that gets hit about every 2 weeks. And it takes at least a week or more for it to get removed.
We think.
And I think that and I've been trying to get a hold of somebody at AT&T to do that. It has not been successful at this point, but anybody out there's got ears, I am wanting to press that issue. There's lights all around that building, and it'd be very easy for AT&T to afford some cameras, or one of your solar areas, or whatever, to catch the person that's doing that, because he keeps tagging the same tags, so I just want that help. Stop this person. Just throwing that out there for everybody.
All right, anything else there, Greg?
That's all I have.
I have one question for you. Did you guys decide to go ahead and let the Antelope Valley Historical Society use the building on Diamond Street?
No decision has been made on that. They came to our board meeting, at our last board meeting, and brought up the subject for discussion to possibly use that facility. They're going to be meeting with staff tomorrow and looking the building over to see if it meets their needs, if it's going to work for them. And the whole idea is that they needed to, they got to put a plan together and bring it back to the RCSD board, but no decision has been made at this point. Right now it's in the very early stages. It was just brought as a proposal to us at our last meeting, and then it's got to work its way through the process.
Okay, we're evaluating places, and that's one of the places that we would like to perhaps have as an office for RMAC for our committee meetings and stuff like that. But we got to go through all the logistical stuff, like general services and stuff like that, like approvals and stuff. So it's not a near-term thing, I don't think, but we'll keep you posted on that.
Our goal is that it's a community center. You want it to be used for the community. At least that's the way the board is, even though we haven't taken an official vote on it, it's something the consensus of the board is we want to work in that direction. If it can be put to use for the community and the community good, then we're all for it. I would suggest that you get with the people at the Historical Society to, you can work out something for office space or whatever, or for your needs, to where both the RMAC and the Historical Society can benefit from it. It's just something to work together. But, it's on, I can only speak for myself, but I'd like to see it be put to use for the community good.
Well, that's, right now, like I said, it's one of many options, but we have to go through a whole lot of real preliminary stuff first before we ever get there. But, thank you, though. Oh, hi, John. How you doing?
Sorry I was late. I was attending to other matters, but for CHP report, I don't have a lot for you. As you guys all probably know, the 58 was closed this morning, and then right after we got the 58 open, they shut the 5 down. So that didn't really help us because we just got rid of all that traffic, and then they brought it right back to us. So, so we've really just been really busy up there with the 58 trying to handle that. But as it comes for Rosamond, really, I say this every time I come here. Rosamond does not keep me busy, which is a great thing because that means people aren't crashing and not burning and not killing each other, at least on our perspective. Other communities are keeping us busy. If you guys have been watching our Facebook, we've been hitting 395 pretty hard. We're getting a lot of fatalities there. And blame it on the roadway all you want, but a lot of these folks are not wearing their seatbelts. And so you can blame the road as much as you want, you love Caltrans all you want, but if you don't wear your seatbelt, it's not going to save your life. A lot of our fatalities, people are being ejected out of their cars and they're expiring on the side of the road. So I picked a good night to be here, and since I'm already up real quick, I'll hit an EDF thank you. You guys helped us with our Chips for Kids campaign. We raised $35,000 worth of toys over the Christmas period, which is the best year we've had yet. And for those of you that are connected with the Moose Lodge and with a few other lodges here, we were able to raise a ton of toys that stayed right here in Rosamond, went to all the Rosamond kids. I would say a good majority of our toys stayed here in Rosamond. So thank you, EDF, for your help on that. And some of you may have seen more CHP officers working out on Rosamond Boulevard out on the west side. The solar company out there is actually paying CHP for patrol services. So random days, random hours, our guys are out there. We've been out there roughly 8 shifts and they've written almost 120 tickets. So
Woo-hoo.
I'm going to be honest, the majority of those are people that live out there. So we've pretty much killed everybody on the west side that live out there. So all of you that live out there, I apologize, but you know, it's kind of interesting how many times my officers come back saying, "You're not going to believe this: resident, resident, employee, employee, traveler, resident." So anyhow, so if you have seen our presence out there, we're going to be doing that probably for another month, month and a half. Personnel-wise, I'm not doing great. I took a huge hit. I had several injuries. An officer got on a heart attack, and he's alive, but he's out. A couple other injuries. I've actually retired 2 officers in the last 2 weeks. So I'm pretty short-handed. And I'm supposed to lose 1 more officer here another week. So my stats are a little low, not to mention Cal City has reached out to us again for another contract. For those of you that may not know, we did a contract out in California City for police services because they were short on bodies. And so when you called 911, you were getting a CHP officer handling the calls for you. They're a busy little city. They get 40 to 70 calls a day. So they're a pretty busy little city, and so we'd help them out. Contract expired. We're back in negotiations for a new contract. So not only am I short, but now we're renegotiating a new contract, which means we're going to bring a lot of CHP officers from out of the area to help cover calls and such as we cover that contract. So hopefully in May, I'm going to see 5 new officers. That's what I'm hoping for. May 1st is their report date, and so I'm excited to get them because we're kind of short.
So if you're out on the west side, is there something going on out there that?
Well, the solar company was concerned about traffic out there, and they asked us to help them, and we are helping them in a couple ways. Not only are we an enforcement agency, which everybody knows us, but we are a motor service agency as well. So when people break down or they need things, we actually stop and we help. And so anybody out on the west side near that solar project, we're providing our services under their contract under certain times of the day, just to provide services to everybody out there. So whether it's an enforcement issue, whether they broke down and need a tire change, or they need whatever, we're there to help them. And so that's where you've seen the additional presence. However, that is not part of our regular staffing. Our regular staffing is already handled. This is on a reimbursable contract. These are guys that would have been at home watching football that are out here on their day off helping out through this contract. So that, well, not football anymore, that's over, but you get what I'm saying. So that's what they're out here for. So that's what I have for you guys. Anything for me? Besides B and Rosamond Boulevard?
Yeah, can you get my side?
What?
Can you get my side of the tracks, please?
Oh, yeah.
In the morning or evening?
Because of the gate? Are you talking about
Yes.
the Edwards traffic?
Yes.
Yeah.
They're driving on the side of the road now if the line is too long. They start driving on the side of the road. Well, there's people walking down the street. I have video. I'll show you. It's amazing. I would just sat there and videoed it the other day. I was like, oh.
I will remind my sergeants to address that. We did for a while address it, and then we kind of went somewhere else, and we haven't come back, so we need to readdress it. So I'll remind my sergeants to readdress that, make that a priority again. You know how it is as things go. We kind of go where the wind takes us. Like, for example, today we had to cancel our solar contract and take that guy and put him on our clock and send him out to the 58. Those days we just have to send everybody wherever the problems are. So usually we're on commute traffic. Every community is getting hit by commute traffic, so we try to focus where we need to send them. And I will remind my sergeants to hit that again. So thank you for bringing that up.
Thank you, Lieutenant Williams.
All right,
Appreciate it. Rosamond Chamber of Commerce.
Yeah, just a couple items. Still pushing our brick pavers for the event center. We're going to be wrapping that up soon. So I think Gregory,
Yeah, I got it pretty quick.
I think you sent one in for brick, as I recall. And thank you. So get in your apps with brick pavers if you want to get them on the event center on the front entrance there below the gate there. They actually look really nice. Renew biz grants for 2019. I don't have the requirements yet. I'm trying to get a hold of the county people to find out what they are. The applications go out April 15th.
I can give you more information next month.
Are you
And
the
I
one to
am,
talk to?
yes.
And your name is?
I am very quickly, I'll introduce myself. I'm Alexia Sveda,
Yes,
and
that's
I
what I talked about.
am hired under the OEA grant. I don't know how many of you have heard of that. And I am your person. So I've got Boron, California City, Rosamond, and Tehachapi. And we actually have been asking a lot of questions about Renew Biz because we know the people that were contacted in the past have been contacted. We don't know anything on money. We don't know any details. We have been told we will know after the 26th of February.
That's what
And then once we know and have all of the details, as soon as I know, I'm going to be pushing it out. So I'd say right now, time out, we don't know yet.
But tentatively, the app's are supposed to go out 3/15 and due April, or March 30th? No, March 15th and due April 30th.
It's still a pretty fast turnaround.
Well, that's the information I was emailed a couple of days ago.
All right.
So that's what I'm going by for now, tentatively, till we have time to talk. But yeah, we need to talk for you guys.
Oh, I've got a lot of people I need to talk to.
So anyhow, that's coming, and as she said, don't know what the requirements are yet, but as soon as we find out, we'll get that information out and get going with stuff. I also wanted to mention new members to the Chamber of Commerce is Mr. Gregory Washington and Dennis Schaffner was voted in this evening, and so I wanted to congratulate them, welcome them to the Chamber of Commerce, and that's about all I got. Anybody have any questions for the Chamber? Okay, that's it.
Thank you, Jack. Southern California Unified School District. If there's anyone, okay, John, can you give us?
Yes, the Rosamond News is happy to report that the officer needed to keep the junior ROTC program alive has been found. And so the Air Force will support the junior ROTC program again for another year at Rosamond High School. And there's about 150 kids involved in that. And 2 meetings ago, they all gave testimony of what that program meant to them. And it was very touching. It changed a lot of their lives and made them responsible and planful about their future. So, but that was the biggest news. Everything else about the budget and all that, I think is pretty well known. Cuts, they've cut 25 teachers. And they plan to be back in the black this year. And then next year have the reserves back up to where they should be.
Thank you.
Any other questions? No? Okay, thank you, John. Antelope Valley citizens for the responsible use of water. How you doing, Randy?
There. Not a lot to report. The water supply standpoint, the reservoirs are all up there pretty well. There's a lot of snow up in the northern Sierras and so on. So there's some around here too, of course. So the water supply is looking pretty good so far. I mean, it won't be a while. It'll be still a while to see how that'll all pan out. The water masters continue meeting. I believe there's one tomorrow. They've had to scale back a little bit in some of their operations because of a lack of funds coming in. There's been some talk about possibly raising the rate that is paid to the water master. Basically, as I understand it, for virtually everybody, it's $5 an acre foot of what they've been allotted that they actually pay towards the water master. But some folks are speculating they probably won't change that at least in the near future. And that's about it.
Thank you. Edwards Air Force Base. Mr. Gatan, do you want to give us a real estate report?
Sure. Alan Catton, your local realtor with Keller Williams. Just a quick update. We currently have 49 active residential homes for sale at an average price of $274,505. And that would equal a square footage
price per square foot of $164.92 a square foot. We currently have 45 homes pending for sale with an average price of $246,343. And the price per square foot on those is $155.41. Compare that to last month, our sales. We had 28 sales last month with an average sale price of $256,679. And the average square foot sale price on that was $156.12 a square foot. Now when we compare that with January of 2018, we had 27 closed units, so we're one more this year. The average sales price last year was higher at $269,261, but they were larger homes. The price per square foot was lower at the time by about $7 a square foot. So last year it was $149.47 compared to the $156.12 this year. So we're still higher than we were last year. Things are still, as you can tell with the 45 pending homes, they're still moving, but there is a decent amount more inventory, so it just feels like things are taking a little bit longer.
Does your company also handle the commercial here in Rosamond?
Yes.
How is that going?
I'd have to run a different report, but from what I've seen, there's not a lot of activity right now. I was just looking, I think we've got 6 available commercial properties.
Are any of those pending sales?
Not that I saw.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Let's go ahead and move to our guest speaker of the evening, EDF, Valentine Solar Project. You have the floor.
Yeah, thank you. EDF Renewables, I'm the Director of Solar Development for the West. And what we have for you tonight is just an informational item. We wanted to come and talk to you because we're beginning construction on our project, the Valentine Solar Project, and give you the opportunity to learn a little bit more about the project, ask any questions you might have, and also provide you with some information on how you can contact us in the future if you do have any questions. So what I'm going to do is ask, we brought a bunch of people here tonight, so ask them to introduce themselves so you know who we have here, and then I'll just give a very brief overview of the project, but then have our contractor give a little more detail about what they're going to be doing from a construction standpoint. So if we can actually go along the line. I didn't tell you guys I was going to do this, but April, if you could start. Just say your name and your role on the project.
My name is April Pankaski. I'm the Project Administrative Coordinator, so I will be on site with our construction team handling the office stuff.
Great.
So my name is Benjamin Pilod. I'm the program manager on this project. I work mostly in San Diego, and I'm following up the implementation of the project, especially during construction.
Hello, my name is Krista Hudson. I'm with EDF. I'm the project developer. I've been responsible since the conception of the project with making sure that all the permits have been acquired under the California Environmental Quality Act, and it's been our pleasure working with Kern County Planning Department to see this project fully certified by the Board of Supervisors in June of 2016.
Hello everybody, I am Tim Benson. I work for D.H. Blattner. I am the project coordinator for the construction team. I'll be on site most of the time.
Most of the time.
Most of it, maybe.
My name is David Sorg. I'm the site manager for the general contractor, D.H. Blattner and Sons. I've worked in the area on a few other projects, mostly LA County, stayed in Ashby a couple times, so I'm relatively familiar with the area. But I'll be on site kind of managing the project at the site level for the GC.
My name is John Capasurdia. I'm the owner's representative for EDF. That'll be my job and April's job, and I've got a few other EDF construction team members who will be on site full-time managing these guys, making sure they do the job correctly and on time. And I'll be there full-time. My number's on this piece of paper. If you've got any questions, I'm going to call.
Yeah, so John is the lucky person to actually have his number and email put on the flyer. We've got a flyer here that has just a summary of the project. It also has a map of it in case you wanted to refer to it later on.
Where's that paper at?
It's right here on the table.
Okay, thank you.
And we'll leave this here once we're done with our presentation. If you guys have questions that you wanted to talk to us a little bit more in detail about, what we can do is step outside. We don't want to be disruptive to the meeting. But feel free. We brought some gifts here as well, just notebooks, some nice heavy tape measures, and a few snacks. So feel free to indulge in any of those as well. I left my card here as well if you're interested in contacting myself. But as John mentioned, he's the good guy to contact if you have any daily questions or concerns about the project. We also have a project line. So there's a couple of ways to get a hold of us. The project line, that's usually the number that we have if there's any dust issues or noise issues. It's for DH Blattner, our contractor. So that's a good number to use for that. But John can handle those as well. But you have both of those resources, so we've got some, a double way of getting in touch with the project. So, you can get some more information on our forum here, but just in general, as Krista mentioned, this project has been something we've been working with the community for several years on. It was approved by the county back in 2016 after a lengthy process of going and obtaining our conditional use permit and preparing our environmental impact report and getting that certified. Then we went through all of the additional permits and approvals that we have to get after the county approval, prepared all of our documents and got ready for construction, sold the project, so we actually have to find someone to sell our energy to. And now we have a operations target of December of this year. So we just started doing the clearing for the project, and we're starting to enter the phase where we're actually going to have more people coming on site. So we thought it was a really good time to come to you as the community, make sure that you have more information about the project and are aware of what we're doing out there. As has been mentioned, we have a long-standing relationship with the Rosamond community. We've developed the Pacific Wind project that is just to the west of the Valentine project, and then the two Catalina solar projects that are to the east. So this is situated really nicely between our other projects, but it's also following on that, the legacy relationship that we have here with the community. We want to be partners with the community. We want to be good neighbors. And so, like I said, if you do have concerns, if you have questions, please feel free to reach out to us. We want to continue that relationship. Yes, ma'am.
Is this energy staying here in the Antelope Valley?
No, it's going into the grid. We're selling the energy to Southern California Edison. So, any customer of Southern California Edison is benefiting from it. But essentially what we do is we tap into our Antelope Valley transmission line that then feeds into the Southern California Edison grid, and then that's what gets distributed out.
So were you guys, I know the power station on 60th has been having some upgrades. Are you guys responsible for that upgrade, or do you know anything about it?
I'm not familiar with that. I'm getting head shakes that were not associated with it, so no, I don't believe it. We've got a couple maps up here that you can see the location with a little bit better if you want to come up and look at it later. But essentially, we're on the west side, and if you follow Rosamond out, this is kind of our main access path, Rosamond Boulevard to 140th Street. We're up just north of Hamilton Road, pinched in between Hamilton Road and then the Aqueduct. So we leap across the General Petroleum Road and the TRTP transmission line there. It runs right through the middle of our site. And like I said, we're in between the Pacific Wind wind project and then our Catalina solar projects. This allows you to get a good perspective of kind of where the project sits in the community. This is more of a zoom in of the project site. And what it shows is in these orange areas are all the locations where we're going to be having the solar panels. You can see also the internal access roads that are going to be connecting each of those zones. And then the dashed line here shows our project ownership that we use to permit the project. So as you can see, we actually had gotten control over a lot larger of a piece of the land, but because of the permitting process with the county, as well as with the other wildlife agencies, we've had to avoid some fairly significant pieces of the land that are out there. So In a couple locations, what we're doing is we're avoiding some of other inholdings of lands that we weren't able to get a hold of. But in other cases, what we're actually doing is avoiding main drainage areas and wash courses. So that's a general overview of the project. I'd be happy to answer any more questions, or I'm sure the project team can answer more questions. But what I asked our contractor to do was actually talk a little bit more in detail about the construction activities that are going to be going on out there, so you can get an idea of what to expect from that. So, Tim and David, if you guys don't mind.
So like I said, I'm David Sorg. I'm the site manager for the general contractor, DH Blattner. I guess I'll talk a little bit about just kind of general schedule, how the pieces fit together, and then Tim can talk about some of the road restrictions and traffic plan that we have in place. But in general, this is kind of our construction sequence, starting up here in the northwest parcel and then working our way around this way. We'll start with grading. I guess we have started with grading. We have some of these interior roads built, and then we also have a road that we're constructing that will go up to where the substation is going to be. Currently the subgrade is completed, and we're adding rock to that through the next week or so. And that'll be our main point of access. We'll come up here and work this way. Then we'll have a transmission line road where this transmission line will be getting installed that we'll use for access, and then we'll also have General Petroleum as kind of a cutoff to this parcel up here. For the most part, that's really the only traffic that we'll have as a project. Sort of just to talk a little bit more about it, so obviously the civil construction, the dirt work, building roads, that stuff gets done first. Shortly after that, we'll start excavating, putting cable in the ground, that sort of thing, getting that out ahead of the structural components of the project, which would be like pile, foundations, and then that kind of follows up by the horizontal steel members that make up the racking system, and then the panels go on top of that. I guess in high level schedule, we've started some of the civil stuff, but the majority of the people will be on site, I would say, March through August, sort of with those activities running congruently through that duration.
May I ask a question?
Sure.
So you've already started the process of grading the land. So now we're going to have our wind start up. So what's that process?
Yeah, so
to stop that.
We do have several water trucks on site. We've been lucky so far with the rain. I think right now we have 6 water trucks running. We did get a little dust kick up, so we got exposed to it a little bit today, which really surprised me with the snowy conditions up in Tehachapi, but we quelled it really quick. We have 4 frac tanks on site. Frac tanks are just big water containers, and we're getting those loaded periodically throughout the day, so we have quick access to water. So we have holding tanks on site that are close to wherever we're doing the dirt work construction. So it's managed through water trucks and dust suppressant.
Do you use pallet to add mixtures as well?
We have that permitted. At this point, we don't anticipate using it.
David, my understanding is DH Blattner also acquired their permit to construct with the Eastern Kern Air Pollution Control District, as well as having a fugitive dust control plan approved based on specific methodology and practices that would be implemented from the start of construction all the way through to completion, and then a permit to operate with permanent PM10 monitors for fugitive dust, which will be installed upwind and downwind to ensure that dust is minimized, it's monitored properly, and any appropriate action is needed will be taken.
And how long is that carried out? For how many years?
So if the threshold has been met with the permanent monitors, you can petition the district to have them removed after 5 years. If it has not been met, then those permanent monitors would stay until there's 5 years of clean air monitoring during operations.
Yep.
On that map, those gray areas all around, are those your projects or somebody else? Are those all solar fields?
Yeah, they're all solar, but I guess they're different developers.
Yeah, none of those that are south of Rosamond Boulevard are ours. And even there's one being constructed right now at 140th and Rosamond, just on the north side. That's not ours as well. Ours are all up, basically adjacent to where the Valentine solar are.
Do you guys have any more in the pipeline that you're going to do in our community?
We're constantly looking at other projects, and we do anticipate at least having one more come down. We may be looking at a couple more in the future.
a good question. Long term, once the project is all constructed and everything, what's the dust mitigation measures that should be taken during operation long term?
Do you guys want to speak to revegetation?
So Devin, in addition to the permit to operate with the district, it has monitoring that goes directly to the air pollution control district, so that monitors levels. We also have a habitat revegetation plan, which means that for areas that were temporarily disturbed, such as your laydown yard, that are not needed for the operation of the project, we're required to reseed those areas, and then we have a 3-year monitoring program with the county to ensure that we have a success criteria for regrowth to help reduce dust. In many areas of the project site, things were mowed so that the root ball could stay within the ground and that regrowth could, could spur accordingly.
Around the panels themselves, do you plan on having some kind of something that keeps the dust down?
So it's my understanding that the fire department does require vegetation to be at a minimum under the panels because of fire prevention. So it won't be obliterated, it will be allowed to grow back, but it does have to be, I believe it's less than 8 inches.
And what about the animals and the little vermin that we don't want in our houses?
So that's a great question. So one of our mitigation measures, we have 41 mitigation measures in addition to a number of conditions of approval. And so at the end of construction, in our security fence, we will have wildlife portals so that animals can, ingress and egress at their pleasure and be able to leave. And so you don't have any blockage. Even though it's not considered a wildlife corridor, based on the studies, this will still allow animals to go in and out.
Our beloved tortoise.
We have had negative findings after years and years, so we're grateful.
What about animals during the construction?
Part of, again, the mitigation measures, we have security fencing, we have wildlife deterrent fencing that's attached to the security fencing, and then right now we have 6 biological monitors on site, and so they are constantly performing biological sweeps, checking the integrity of the fence, to ensure that wildlife has not become trapped, has not come on the site, because there's a number of protocols that insist that either buffers or, you can't kill these animals, they have to be.
Well, I think the majority of people's concerns in the past with other projects is the fact that you're driving animals out of the area, and so they're getting put into other people's property and things like that. So they're seeing an increase of vermin in their homes and snakes, things like that. Is there any mitigation as far as keeping the animals where they are rather than shooing them all away from the property?
What I can say is that to the extent that we don't have to impact part of the project site, we've been avoiding that. As you can see, like within our project area, there's a lot of areas that remain open, and we've seen a lot of animals using those areas. That's been actually one of the requirements, is to make sure that if we are blocking the home of one of the animals on the site, that we make sure that there's adequate area in the surrounding area for them. So we've looked at a lot of the natural habitat within these areas and spaces between our zones, and there's a lot of available acreage there for the animals to move into while we're doing the construction site.
But you're digging up the ground, and I know snakes are underground. I am not opposed to you keeping the snakes out there. By all means, please keep them. But, they're going to be disturbed. So what happens?
There is the possibility. What we do is we go out and we sweep the area. If an animal could get directly impacted, like a snake, then we'll relocate it out of harm's way. We're not going to go and relocate it to someone else's property, but we'll put it outside of our fence line. And we believe that there's a lot of acreage there for those animals to be within. We're also, as was mentioned, we're not just grading the entire site. So these areas that you see, all of these panels, that entire site isn't being graded. Only the areas that we need to, either to flatten out or to get access, or where we're going to be grading and impacting the ground directly. And then what we do is, for the mounting of the solar arrays, we drive piles down. So that allows for us not to actually have to go and be concerned all the time about moving wildlife out of the way. We are only going to be working in certain areas and avoiding those animals in those areas.
And that's what a lot of the concern is in this valley. We have a lot of, I hate to use the word, but old timers they've been around a long time, myself included. I used to live out in those areas, I grew up out there. And, you know, we remember days of being out there, riding, hiking, walking, and we'd see a lot of dens of red fox that were just absolutely gorgeous. You know, different desert tortoise and various wildlife. So, you know, our concern a lot of times is that going to be reduced now or go extinct? Or, you know, there's a big concern with the community with that topic by itself, because that's a big part of our lives, our upbringing within the community. So it's not that anybody necessarily has against solar, but we do have against our community that we grew up in, and that the environment remains, and you'll find that's a very, very touchy subject with all the homeowners around here.
Well, another issue is, are there any Joshua trees out in that area that are going to be impacted?
I believe there are some that are on site.
Yes, we did acquire desert native harvest permits with the Kern County Agriculture and Measurement. There are not Joshua tree woodlands that we're impacting, but just individual trees and cholla cactus that fall under the desert native harvest.
So are they being moved and replanted somewhere else?
No, that was not a requirement of this project. They're being mulched on site.
Well, we have a disappearing desert here because you used to be able to see Joshua trees everywhere. And they are native to this area. And it's a shame that we didn't make you guys transplant those somewhere else so they can survive instead of being mulched, truly. So maybe that's something you guys should consider when you're doing other places. Those are a beauty to our area. And lots of animals live in there, so.
As hot and dry as it may seem.
Take this, sir. Yeah.
I run dog sled teams, and for about the past 20 years in the area of 70th Street, north and south of Rosamond Boulevard. And when I started running, I would never see predator birds, red-tailed hawks and stuff. And then in about 2011, I started seeing a few occasionally, and out in the middle of nowhere. Now I'm seeing them in my yard, and I saw one about 2,000 feet away from my property when I was running dogs. I stopped and looked at it. The red-tailed hawk. Red-tailed hawks will kill small dogs, and so it appears all the solar people are taking their habitats away and they're coming into housing. Just a guess.
Yeah, I can't comment on that. I don't know the science behind, you know, the hawks and what's affecting their habitat and their range. But I mean, it's definitely, we have a lot of biologists that work for us, and something we could always look into if you guys want more information about that.
And that was something that was taken into consideration with the EIR. There were numerous years of avian studies, as well as ground surveys in accordance with CDFW's protocol for desert tortoise, for burrowing owl, as well as we have to comply with the Migratory Bird Treaty Act, which means that, you know, anytime that a Joshua tree or something had to be removed, there had to be surveys to ensure that there's no nesting habitat so that the wildlife was not impacted.
But it seems like even though environmental impact studies are done, not me, but other people reported an outrageous number of rattlesnakes and other wild animals because their homes are taken away. I've seen a red-tailed hawk in my yard several times, and other types of hawks, and big owls, and we've never seen those before. Not in housing, and now I see coyotes. I'm on 2.5 acres and scattered houses. You know, they're not side by side, and it's not uncommon to see a pair of coyotes walking through. Or occasionally I would see one. Now it's not uncommon.
Yeah, I can't say that solar projects are being constructed now in a more environmentally sensitive manner. The older way of doing a project like this would be to grade the entire site and leave it as dirt and basically not have any habitat. But you know, with maintaining some of the vegetation, allowing for wildlife movement through the site, there will be additional.
I don't want to take up the whole meeting here, but there's a lot of wasteland. If you go, when Hoover Dam was built, it was nothing, and because they built the infrastructure for power. You guys can pick a spot like between here and Vegas. Nobody will ever walk that ground for 500 years probably. I mean, you can put all the solar you want, if you can get the land. And nobody's gonna say anything. You build the infrastructure, and that's just my thinking. Edwards Air Force Base has a lot of wasteland on it. It's never gonna be used. It's a huge base. And all these solar panels are just gonna be solid solar panel by the time we're done. And when is the county gonna say no more solar panels? That's a question for the board.
Well, they're looking at various things. They're not in a position right now to state, because they're still taking feedback from everyone out here. And so they have not taken a position as to how they're going to proceed, especially like on the S-Power projects out here. So we have to be mindful that there's several different companies. And I don't want us crucifying EDF because of something that we perceive another company has done. Okay, so if you have some concerns and stuff like that, we can take and make sure that that gets communicated to Bakersfield.
I hear a rumor, I don't know if it's true, there's another county that just flat out told everybody no more solar in our county. I think it was, it's just something I want to throw out.
Well, there's as many negatives as there are positives to it. I mean, I've heard more than one person that talks about what is the actual benefit to Rosamond for these systems to be here. Nothing comes through this place from those. The only thing that I will say is, like, EDF has done some things here in the community, and I think probably in a couple of the other little communities, that sets them apart, I believe, from a lot of the other companies.
Okay, that's a good point.
Okay.
Yeah, one of the, if solar goes through one of the roads I run my dogs down, they're gonna take away part of Holiday Avenue. You know, they're just taking away roads so the community people can't, if they wanna visit somebody, they have to, you know, take the long way around.
Okay, those are around 70th Street, right?
But near 70th, yeah, 70th and Holiday.
Okay, that's all part of S-Power. That environmental impact report is still in draft stages. It's still in the planning department. It hasn't been sent to the contractor yet for his sign-off. So I appreciate your concern, and I appreciate, you know, I've talked to quite a few people, but we have to deal with that through the steps that are there that are available. As soon as that draft EIR comes out, I certainly hope everyone in this community jumps on it with both feet and reads it from one end to the other of it, so that we can give some positive feedback to the Board of Supervisors.
Will that impact report be put online for us all to see it?
I'm sure it will be available online.
Good, thank you.
And I will confirm that.
Thank you.
Okay.
So I think, Tim, did you have any more description of the construction?
The only thing I had for everybody is the traffic control coming in, and I do believe it was talked about prior, coming in westbound up Rosamond Boulevard, coming north, and then this yellow area is where our main laydown yard will be, office trailers, everything, and then the majority of the traffic through the site is built up this road from our laydown yard heading west, continuing up to 145th. So
is that Rosamond Boulevard that you were pointing at? I'm sorry, you were blocking, so you were trying to
sorry,
say.
yeah. So it's down here,
Okay.
Rosamond Boulevard to 140th here, and then just north of Hamilton, this yellow area is where we'll have our office trailers.
Okay.
So you can see it on this side as well. Rosamond Boulevard's down here, and then right there, that yellow is where he was pointing to for the office department.
You need a data light.
Yeah, laser pointer or something. Yeah, that's our primary access route. We do have a short gen-type connection going to the north, and we may have to be driving around some of the roads further to the west and then to the north to access that, but that'll be pretty limited traffic going that direction.
Is there going to be any improvement on 140th, like extra DG or anything, any other pavement or anything for that access?
It's going in now.
Is it?
So Rosamond Boulevard to,
Is it DG or gravel?
It's road-based, so it's
Okay.
gravel.
from the intersection of Rosamond Boulevard and 140th up to Hamilton is about 2 miles, and that'll all be
That 2 mile.
Improved by DG, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
across 2 bays.
And is that maintained by you for any specific amount of time, or is that just gonna be put down and just drive over it and whatever happens to the powder at the end of the process, it just blows away?
Through construction, it'll be maintained.
How long is construction?
Construction ends December.
Since I know that area, no matter what you put down, isn't gonna last when the next bad rain goes through there.
No, I just know that the weight of the trucks would
Well, that's what I
also,
meant.
you know, break things down as well.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and then once we're in operation, there's very little traffic from our site area going up there, so it's, that's part of the reason why we don't have ongoing maintenance of that road.
And how many years will you guys be open? I'm sorry, I missed that.
For construction, it's just a year.
No, for the total project, how long is that?
Project life is
Approximately 35 years.
35 years? Thank you.
Any other questions for them?
Yeah, I'm just curious, is solar panel life extended with new technology? Because didn't it used to be like 15, 20-year life in the past?
Yeah, it has been improving. I don't know, Benjamin, can you speak to
Yeah,
that at all?
sure. No, well, I mean, yeah, I don't have much more details, but you're exactly right. This will be 20 years, 25 years. Now we expect them to be lasting at least 35 years. So
How many?
up to 35 years, yeah.
And what's changed in the technology to allow that?
I'm not sure.
Are they-
I have the answer. I'm not that an expert on that. But,
I mean, that's good to know because,
Yeah.
I mean, that has a lot to do with environmental impact
yeah.
as the life of the solar
Yeah,
project
sure.
itself.
So then once that 35 years is up, what happens to your project?
So there's a decommissioning plan for the project. So, you know, at that point, you have the option of following the plan that's in our permit, and you can decommission the site. It will all get revegetated, and there's bonds that are posted for that. Or potentially you could replace it with another project, or if there's a way to extend the life of our project, you could do that, but you still have to go back and do additional permitting and get additional approvals to do that.
Well, I would like to thank you for your public outreach. I see you have a pretty impressive giving back to the community list here, which I appreciate. But I'd also like you to take back to your company that you tried to transplant those Joshua trees instead of grinding them up. Those are a natural resource out here, and they're beautiful. So, would you please take that concern back?
Yeah. Yeah, you can all, yeah, we'll give you all flyers. Everybody here is welcome to flyers. And we'll leave them up here a little bit, so if you didn't get one of the tape measures or any of the cookies or stuff like that.
Oh, no, we will be getting a tape measure.
And I would say we'll definitely look at that for the future projects. Like I said, we've been looking at other projects in this area. And I think it is too late because of just the way the conditions work and the permits work. We wouldn't be able to switch over now to doing salvage and replanting.
Certainly something you should consider.
But for future projects, and I know that there are other projects that we've been doing that on throughout Southern California.
Maybe it's something we could explore, maybe
That's
having an
required.
organization come in that could harvest them.
Put over the chambers. Put over the chambers project.
Well, they're California Native Plant Societies that we could reach out to that probably could help with transplanting them properly and even finding homes for the plants.
Oh, yeah, they're just, it takes hundreds of years to grow like that, so.
We can explore that and present that to the Board of Civil Rights.
We need to do that as a community. Save those trees.
All right, well, like I said, thank you very much for having us. I'll walk outside just in case you guys have any follow-up questions, just so we can let your meeting continue, but also hang out for a while. And do you know how long you guys are going to go tonight?
As quickly as possible.
5 minutes too long?
Well, I'll try to stay to the end, so just in case like there's any follow-up or anything like that as well.
Somewhere between 8:30 and 8:45, I would imagine.
Do we have a motion to adjourn?
Stop it, John.
All right. Well,
thank you very much, Devin. I appreciate it. Okay, community announcements. Bonafide representatives of community service organizations and clubs are invited to announce upcoming events open to the public. Please limit your presentation to no more than 3 minutes.
I thought Greg had a presentation.
And so did I was waiting.
I have a quick announcement here.
Okay, just a second here, we got to.
Quick announcement here. How many of you all know Charlie Wallace? Pastor Charlie Wallace. Okay. The Brett Wallace Youth Baseball Clinic will be held this Saturday, February 23rd at 10 a.m. at the Rosamond High School varsity baseball field. The clinic is open to boys and girls 5 to 7 years old. Players will learn important fundamentals of baseball. There is no charge for the admission. This year we are giving special honor to our law enforcement, first responders, and veterans, and they're all welcome to attend the event. Shirts will be given out as well. All participants need signed parent consent to attend the clinic. Forms are available at the Rosamond School office or at the clinic. There will also be a coach's clinic at 9 a.m. Please contact Charles Wallace or Rosamond High School for more information. Charles lost his son, I believe, 5 years ago to diabetes. I had the pleasure of coaching him for 2 years, and we had 2 great years together. But it's a really good event for all the kids to come out, learn the fundamentals of baseball, and gather some structure. That's all I have.
Okay. Any other community announcements?
I'm from the Kern Antelope Historical Society, and I want you guys to put on your calendar 9 May. We are going to have a 60th anniversary out at the library, starting at 5 p.m., but earlier for the school kids. We're going to have field trips out there, so please save the date.
Thank you. Public comment period. Any member of the public may address the council regarding any matter of concern to Rosamond residents. This need not be related to any items on the agenda. Our law prohibits the council from taking action on matters not on the agenda. Please limit your presentation to 3 minutes. Yes, sir.
I'd like to comment on the moving of the meeting here to another place. I can't understand what's wrong with the place we have here and what it would involve in moving to some other place, other building.
You misunderstood what we're doing. Our meetings, our monthly meetings will still be held here. What we're looking at is an office where we can do certain administrative functions at committee level. We have, as you see on the agenda, you'll see that we have various committees that deal with things, and paperwork comes into RMAC for comment or for polling the community regarding their feelings on things. And so that's what these committees are for, is basically to go through whatever the feedback is that they get from the community, to deal with issues that we've identified. To give you a good example, we have the crosswalks here in 3 places here in this town where it is dangerous for people to cross the street, and they need to be signalized in some fashion because they're not anywhere near a regular street light. And so that's one of the things that one of our committees is working on right now, so that we can approach the county about building that particular thing. We've got some indications that they're receptive to it, but we want to make sure that we're both looking at it the same way. We don't want to ask for an orange and get crab apple.
Thank you.
Can I complain about your animal control or the code compliance?
Did you wanted to talk about quite a few things, because someone told me that there would be a gentleman coming tonight.
Yeah,
And what I would like to do, here's what I would like to propose.
Okay.
A separate meeting for you with me and 2 other board. I have a suggestion for a day, and that would be Tuesday next week.
Okay, where?
Patty's Cafe, about 5 or 6 o'clock.
You just
Yeah,
walked in.
I'll get the, we'll talk in a little bit.
Okay, you can catch me after the meeting, we can talk a little bit more. But we can do that and talk about it on a committee level,
and see if we can help mitigate some of the problems that you seem to be having.
Okay, Patty, I can write that down now. Patty's Cafe, what time?
Let's say 6:30.
What kind of meeting is this?
Prime rib.
What's that, Jack? It's a committee meeting. It's going to be this gentleman has some complaints regarding code compliance and some other organizations. And rather than tie up all of everyone's time here listening to that, I want to do that in a separate venue.
And that won't fall
Separate the
under
wheat
RMAC?
from the chaff, and then we'll deal with whatever is there.
And that doesn't fall under the Brown Act?
No, it is not affected by the
We
Brown
ever-
Act.
committees?
We're not going to be voting on anything.
Okay, committee.
Okay, and what is the contact if I can't make this time?
That would be me,
Name?
Bill Parkman, Parkman.
Okay.
Telephone number is 661-317-3674.
That's next Tuesday.
Was that
This coming up Tuesday.
this coming Tuesday?
6:30, Patty Cafe, thank you.
I believe that's the 18th, I think.
Okay, thank you.
No, wait a minute.
No, we're past the 18th.
I'm thinking in March.
26th. 26th.
The 26th, okay, 26th of February.
I don't want to redo this week.
I
Okay.
do have something I would like to bring up. So, people have probably seen the construction it's happening right across the tracks. And so, it would be nice if we knew some of these things were coming to town before. So, because there's been all kinds of rumors of what that's going to be. It's a strip mall, it's, yada, yada. Well, and I guess it's gonna be a Family Dollar. So it's like.
That is what was advertised the last time the subject came up.
But it's
It
like,
seems to be awfully close to the railroad track though, for a commercial.
but how do we
firm.
get notified where it's really facts instead of people telling you what this and that? Another thing is, out here on Sierra Highway, they graded a place and they've been speculating what that's gonna be, and I understand maybe it's going to be housing, but
No,
it would be nice to know what's really going out there.
I have information on that property out there because it's my next door neighbor who owns that, and he just cleaned it.
Well,
He
that's
said
it.
he was getting complaints about there was too much trash because everything was blowing around. So he cleaned it and he had his company go in there and grade everything off, make it nice. He put some barriers up, and then he fenced it in so that nobody could mess it up.
Well, there's rumors going on that it's actually gonna be some apartments. or
And I
it's
keep
gonna be
checking with him
another-
and he
yeah.
says, nope, nothing yet.
So, anyway, I'm just curious if there's a way that this could be
We,
communicated.
when we receive these things, we put them on the Facebook page that RMAC has. We will also from time to time put it on the Eye on Rosamond.
Okay. So
I may even, hit up other folks. I might even, for example, talk to the Chamber of Commerce if I feel like there's something that needs their input or help to get it to the right kind of folks and stuff.
Okay. But it is
But
on your Facebook
there's no
page?
guarantee. That's one thing that I have been doing the last 2 weeks is trying to understand how documents are distributed by the county. It's not consistent.
No rhyme or reason.
Well, I would like to comment on that, and that is the planning department is very strict about publishing the legal notice, which they're required to do, in the Rosamond area. And the Rosamond News is adjudicated through the Superior Court for those notices. And they have appeared there for the last 30 years. So until they appear there, it's still just rumor and discussion. But once they appear there, then it's actually a project within Kern County.
And those are back in the back part of the newspaper, the public notices.
And now on their website too, if you have the street address or the APN number, you can go to the planning department's website and look it up. And there's, everything they have on it is readable.
Thank you, John.
Well, periodically, Friday, the chamber just sent hearing notice. And I'm not sure whether we can post that or not, you know. I mean, in a way, they're doing it as a public notice, but I don't know if we can take that public notice and repost it publicly or not.
Could you pass that on to one of us though, Jack?
What's that?
Could you pass it on to one of us?
Good question.
I think you can, Jack. I don't see, I think once it is published by.
Once it's sent to us, then it becomes.
Once you receive it, you can disseminate it to other parties that are interested in that. I can't believe it is that Byzantine that you can't do that.
I mean, if that's the case, I can start posting, or at least passing on.
And that's between the newspaper and the couple of Facebook pages and what happens through AV Press as well. Those are really the only ways that we can reach people in the community. We don't have a radio station, we don't have a TV station.
Right.
So those are the vehicles that we have to communicate these things.
Yeah, I'll go out on a limb and offer something out. Everybody in here knows we have a Facebook page. Yes, well, you can follow CHP Mojave. We're getting better at posting stuff. I hope everybody sees that. I'm willing to, when there's a project, let's say Sierra Highway project being built or something's happening, I'm willing to attach a safety statement to that and even put it on ours. So we can say, for example, those of you in the Rosamond community, you see this new building of whatever the project is, continue to drive safely through construction zones or blah, blah. I can attach a safety statement and put it out on our Facebook as well, if that would help you guys.
So that your
that's part of our public
CHP
Facebook
page?
Yeah, CHP Mojave. And right now we're up to like 6,000 followers. It's amazing how Adam Rosamond or Greg has more followers than I do, but I'll catch up to him.
That would be very helpful.
Yeah, I'll be willing to do that for you guys. I think that'd be great too. Good public safety.
Oh yeah, that'd be great.
And I watch your site, not his. Just saying.
Thank you. Well, we've been getting a lot better. I've got a new person on it who's very enthusiastic, and we've been putting out at least 2-3 things a day, in theory, and we've been pretty close to up to date. Today we kind of got lost, and I made him go hit the road. So
yeah, but you still posted stuff about the closures, which I thought was awesome. I thought, oh, you guys are going to be too busy to post anything, and there you were.
He did it from his car. I'm impressed.
CHP Mojave.
Not while it was driving.
CHP Mojave. Well, I'm sure he was sitting down.
In the parked position.
But, yes, he was definitely stopped. Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, let's go ahead and move on. Any other comments or questions? Okay, let's go ahead and move into the business meeting standing committee reports. Planning committee. Donna, do you have anything? I do not have anything for planning.
No, I do not have anything for planning as of this time.
I don't know what the question is.
Well, that's, I was just gonna say, we were talking about when chamber gets like, public hearing notices for various county projects or issues or concerns, and they send it to the chamber or another entity, can we post that information?
Post it where?
Facebook or webpage, whatever the case may be.
I can't answer that. It depends on what they're sending. I'm assuming if they're sending it to you,
Yeah,
it's
I would
gotta be
think would
public
be-
information.
Right, that's what I mean.
But notice I said the word assume,
Right.
so I don't know.
Because I've never posted it just because I really don't know the answer for that.
Give me an example.
Hearing notices for closure of pot shops, for example, coming up.
I would say make that totally public, yes, that's public.
EIR.
Yeah, push that in, they're sending it to you in the hopes that you're gonna push it out to the community. Yes.
And I'll start posting.
Okay, moving on. Safety committee.
I have something
Dennis is
here.
out tonight.
Yeah, I have something here, Mr.
Okay.
Chairman, I'd like to discuss. Here, you can pass this on a little bit here. I want to talk a little bit along the lines of the roadways you mentioned in terms of safety. Safety is something we as a community should be proactive to and not reactive to in order to maintain a community free of obvious dangers. Safety of our children, our elders at crosswalks, or our roadways or something I have identified as an area of concern. The major crosswalk on Rosamond Boulevard between Tom's and Taco Bell has brought immediate attention. Poor visibility at night because of the failed illumination coating provides little driver awareness of an upcoming crosswalk. Recoding of crosswalk with high visibility illuminating coating as well as a possible solar-powered flashing light will create an enhanced intersection more safe to cross. In the comments, maybe a future invite to appropriate individual from Kern County or Caltrans to come out and discuss our roadways, how they fit in the budget, and how this type of work needed on Rosamond Boulevard can be prioritized.
Okay. Thank you, Greg. This is actually already on an action item with the Safety Committee, because Dennis and I have both been working on this back in 2018 and stuff like that. But I appreciate your input.
Yes.
Anything else? Public Health and Community Welfare Committee.
Nothing that I'm aware of, that's fine.
Okay, so actually, yes.
Okay, go ahead.
We have I've been asking for about a year for the public health bus to come to Rosamond for free service. They finally made it out here two months ago. They will be here every month, right here at Hummel Hall, the parking lot. They offer free services, lots of free services. They also do take insurance, just not a PPO. They take HMOs, just not PPOs. But if you're low income or no income, they will service you for free. The next time they will be here is March 13th, right here in the parking lot from 12 to 3.
Did you say March 13th?
March 13th.
I saw that advertised, I thought that was really
Yes,
great.
I've been begging them to come
That's
because
great.
we just need to, I worry about our homeless.
Yes.
Being vaccinated, make sure that they're taken care of.
What type
So,
of services do
they actually do, I'll give you a list, Jack. They do testing, like HIV testing, all of those testings. They do labs. They do flu shots. They do vaccinations. Not vaccination, yeah, vaccinations. They do everything. So general maintenance on you. I'm also in the process of trying to get the dental clinic to come here once a year. The free dental clinic that they have in Bakersfield and Tehachapi once a year. I'm trying to get them to come here for once a year to get the free dental done.
Really good.
So that's what I have for that. Sorry.
Okay, Public Works Committee. Okay, we have a couple of items that we're working on under that, and they're still basically in process items. One is dealing with a access road to the east side of Rosamond. Public Relations Committee. Yeah, do you have anything else?
So this last couple weeks ago, I went to Bakersfield to a meeting. Something that I brought up to the Board of Supervisors that is near and dear to my heart is that we need more officers in our town. We are getting ready to go through a big change in our community, and with big change is going to bring more crime. So I have reached out and asked them to please give us more law enforcement in our area to think about it. I know the budget's tight, but we do need more law enforcement. It did make it to what I said was in the Antelope Valley Press, and now they have reached out to me and asked me to do an interview.
No, it was appeared in the Rosamond News, and then the Valley Press saw it, and now they're asking you.
So
Yes.
I didn't even know about it until after the fact. The Bakersfield News, Channel 17, has reached out to me and wants to know if I can do an interview. They want to come to Rosamond and do an interview. I told them that I would have to find out from the board. And after talking to Dennis, he said that we would have to discuss it.
Yeah, it's probably something we need to discuss that in the committee itself.
Okay, I didn't know how to.
Yeah.
bring that up.
Because right now, we already have our stated position
Yes.
on it.
100% stated position.
Yeah, so.
Okay.
But the points that you brought up, Lisa, and as I mentioned before the meeting, regardless of what happens with medical marijuana and legal cannabis, all those, there are going to be law enforcement issues with it across the board.
Yes.
Whether it's legal or whether it's illegal, it's going to be there. It's going to be something to be dealt with. The issue is having the money to fully staff our share of substations out here in the east side of the county, so that these guys are not worked, to the nub, going all over the whole east side of the county dealing with issues.
And I get that, 100%.
So I'm new here. What's the big change?
The pawn shops going
The pawn shops are closed. Oh, okay. Well, they're supposed to as of May.
And you're concerned that's going to bring more crime?
Yes, because of delivery. Delivery will be the only option. And delivery drivers do have big targets on their back.
I see.
I do believe that. I've looked into other communities, and other communities, the crime rate's went up 35 to 65%.
But if they close, where are they going to get delivery from?
So
From
that's
your
the
local
thing.
illegal guy.
Well, are they going to all be in Rosamond?
So California law says that delivery is an option if there's no shops in the town. So, but they also, that brings home invasions to when they're coming to your house, because they can only deliver to a house or a hotel where you lay your head. So there's not like a hot spot where you can meet them. I'm sure there will be, but that brings a lot more. They have targets on their back. People are going to know what they're doing, and that does scare me. It worries me for my community.
And what do you base that assumption on?
Actually, if you look online, no, if you look online and look in different communities who have shut it down because delivery is the only option, their crime rates are rising, Jack. Their crime rates are rising.
Yeah, I actually look at Colorado too, and they've had some serious issues with all that too, so it's not like it's not new.
I'm not saying it's not, I'm just asking you, have no facts to support that. I mean,
Yeah, I'll get you the facts. I have it all in my phone. I'll send it to you. I'll send you the links.
It's, to get back at this, I know a little bit about it. It's a lot easier to have a liaison checking on maybe 1 or 2 shops than it is to try and build a police force to try and enforce delivery. It's hard. For example, if he wants to check on me, I have an address. He can come right to me. But if he wants to go check on a guy with a backpack, you got to find the guy with the backpack first. And these guys will be running around all over town. And it's the law in California that they can do so. So it's not about marijuana anymore. It's about how do we properly regulate now. Do you guys understand? You have to take the marijuana out of the picture, and you have to understand how to do it best way through regulation. And that's what we got to figure out.
Well, it just seems like there's so many variables to crime that I don't see how you can really isolate one item like that that's going to be the major contributor. I mean, if you have a society or a region that sets a certain policy, a lot of times that region has many policies that they set that affects the crime overall that may not be contributed to one factor. And so, I mean, that's why I really have a question about that in the first place, because.
Well, didn't we say we used to have 17 officers and we're down to 7? And we know, isn't that the number?
You could have 10 officers that have special details in a certain region that's going to be far more effective than 20 in there that doesn't have certain programs. I mean, there's just too many variables involved to really say that this or that's going to affect crime.
Yeah, but like I said, it's a regulation issue, and that's how we have to look at it now. Do we regulate one shop where you can walk in whenever you want and check us out? Or do you want a guy running around with a backpack that can have God knows what in it. Do you think they're gonna deliver just cannabis? I bet you not. You know what I mean? And they're coming in from outside of our community. They're not even from our community. They're allowed to come from outside. That's the way it works. For example, California City just added 10 new legal delivery services. They're allowed to deliver to us, but we can't regulate them. Do you understand? It comes back to the regulation thing. We'll be serviced by communities that have their own regulations that we cannot control. So we have to think of the right way to go about this now. The ban now can cause more problems than it will solve. And it's because people didn't think far enough into the future about it. Everyone's just worried about banning or staying open, banning, staying open.
My question to you, I don't know if there's an answer, but what is the percentage of usage in Rosamond versus the people that are coming out of Lancaster, Palmdale to our town to get their stuff?
Yeah. Currently, because of the state of cannabis, most patients out here in Rosamond are coming from local area. It used to be coming a lot from Palmdale, Lancaster, but Palmdale, Lancaster now has what we call sessions or open markets. They have 4 illegal open markets in Lancaster right now. They keep all the patients over there. Whether it's illegal or not, the patients are going to seek it out. And we've seen, we're what you guys would call the border shop. So most of our patients used to be from Palmdale, Lancaster, and LA. We've dropped from about 300 patients a day to 25 since that's happened. So they have illegal delivery services. They're dealing with the problems we will get in this little small town right now. And we don't have the kind of enforcement or the kind of say-so or the kind of power that that bigger city has to deal with it. We're Little Rosamond, and we have to assume that we will be treated like Little Rosamond because that seems to be how things go. And we need to be able to let our voice be heard in the way we think would be the proper way to regulate it. Because like I said, they're either going to ban it and we end up with the open market, or we can regulate it and make it where there's just a couple guys where you can go and look at. And that's just where I'm at on it and what we're dealing with the county and here locally right now in the state of Canada.
Thank you, Tim.
You're welcome.
Okay, Legislative Affairs Committee, there's no action items there. Okay. All business, and this is an item we've already discussed on item A about a letter for the Kern County Board of Supervisors regarding an access road to the east side of Rosamond. We're doing data collection on that at this point. One of the things that would be nice to have is a couple of volunteers that live at this end of the town that can keep track of the number of times that the Rosamond Boulevard is blocked. And I'm going to tell you a funny story. We last year went to see Union Pacific at their place over in Burlington to talk about access routes and the trains and stuff. And there was a lot of feeling that it very rarely was Rosamond Boulevard blocked. It seems like after we got back from that meeting, the railroad crossing was blocked almost every other week for anywhere from 15 minutes to an hour. So I don't know if we planted the seed for UPRR or not. So
you guys can't go visit them no more.
But it would be helpful to us because, you know, we're 7 board members, but we can't be everywhere in this town. And, you know, if you get stuck waiting for that crossing to open, jot down the times and let one of the board members know, because we're tracking it because we want to be able to show that there are situations that currently exists that could prevent a first responder from getting to the other side of town.
Does the railroad track that data?
No.
They do not.
No.
I'm
If they
sure,
did, the guy
I'll
would
be
get in
honest with
trouble
you,
for getting his
Jack, I
lunch.
think they do, but I don't think they share the information.
All right, so I was wondering whether the tracker is shared or not.
I just have a question for you. Is there an option of an overpass?
We don't have that kind of money, the county doesn't have that kind of money, the state won't spend the money,
That would be a
so,
solution.
yeah. Lorelei Oviatt is, I think, that's a project that she's been looking at for many, many years, but there's just no way. Okay. Assignments to local and community organization meetings. Greg, at last month's meeting, you talked about you would attend the RCSD meetings on behalf of RMAC. And Donna's covering the Chamber of Commerce meetings. For you, Brennan, there's a list that I have that I can give you. There are various community meetings, local and county, that I'd like for us to go to and just kind of keep tabs on what's happening and how it may affect Rosamond. So I'd like to get
Where
some
it fits
input from
within
you.
our location.
Absolutely.
Okay, last item is administration office space, files, and equipment. As I mentioned earlier in the meeting, we've been talking with General Services about this. We had one meeting with them on the 12th of February. We're trying to do it opposite of the way you normally do things, and that is you ask for a great big pie, and then you settle for something smaller. We're trying to attack it from a little bit different way. We're going to ask for the slice of pie first, and then see if we can slowly work our way up to maybe having a whole pie. But we're looking at some office space, either here, for example, in Hummel Hall, if there's a place. And I don't believe there is. I've looked this place over, and it doesn't look like there's any spare space here. I'm sure that they don't want to give that up to us. You know, and there's other places here, but you know, they all have vested uses right now. For example, the sheriff's search and rescue building. That looks like a nice place. It doesn't look like it's used very much, but I have since found out that it's packed full of stuff.
You only need a closet.
Yeah, but we're doing that. We're looking at places and stuff. If you know of a place that would qualify, and meaning cheap, would appreciate the input.
Inexpensive.
That's
We're
the
never
other
cheap.
word. Okay. All right, new business, Brown Act, and for all the council members, we have our Brown Act training on the 12th of March, 5:30 p.m. here at Hummel Hall. If that date slides, I'll let you know, but that's currently what it's plugged in as. Yeah, 12 March, 5:30 p.m. It should be a Monday.
Should be. 3/12 is a Tuesday.
Okay, Tuesday, excuse me.
Is that in correlation with any online training, or is this a standalone?
It's the Brown Act is a presentation that is done by someone from the county.
Okay.
The ethics training, I'm going to touch on that. What we have to do is do that online. Now, the county does have it available in Bakersfield, but I'm sure no one wants to make that trip there unless they absolutely have to. So I'm recommending that you do it online. I think it's the Fair Political Practices website. They have that online course. If you plug it into Google and ask for ethics training AB 1234, it will take you invariably to one of 3 or 4 sites. There is the top item.
And you might have already gotten the letter as well.
And when you complete the online course, you have to print out your graduation certificate and turn it in to the secretary or me. And I'd like for us to have that wrapped up before April. Okay. Email addresses, that's been taken care of, that can be problems. Alrighty. Any agenda referrals?
Yes.
Brendan, do you have anything?
No, sir.
Donna?
Not at this time.
Lisa?
I do.
Okay.
I would like for us to put back on the agenda, the sidewalk between United Apartments and the strip mall, where Ramones is.
That's one of the other places that we want to do the signalized crosswalk.
And I would like to add the crosswalk to the agenda too. Mike said if we add it to the agenda.
Well, that brings up another item from Bakersfield. Remember when they came down and had this big planning session on putting sidewalks all over Rosamond?
Go ahead.
Do you remember that?
Oh, yes.
They were supposed to come back like in April. We never heard, saw, or anything again from them.
Our money was reprogrammed.
Oh. So much for going to that meeting.
Can we also
Well, we're working on trying to get that resolved in the future so that we can, because they were going to do quite a few things for us here in the town. So.
Well, and we did a lot of work on their maps and everything, and it's like, we would have come back in April with all the feedback and never even heard from them, and I actually wrote to the planning department, like, what's going on, and never heard a word from them.
The money got reprogrammed.
Well, that's what they could have said, you know. To what? Do you know what it went to?
Not really.
No. Thanks.
Anything else, Lisa?
Yes. So in July, Mr. Clark believed that the Rosamond Glendale Park playpad was taken care of in July.
Mm-hmm.
It has not been. So he also suggested we add that back to our agenda because
What
it was
is it?
never taken care of.
Which park is it?
The Glendower
Park.
The
What about
playpad.
it?
The playpad.
That big cement thing?
No, it's the foamy pad.
Oh.
The sections are coming up and coming out.
Yeah, it's
The
like
county
foam
was
bricks.
supposed to come out and fix that.
Well, while they're out, would they fix the grass? Because, you know, the gophers or whatever, they're just piles. And it's, that, you know, that used to be a beautiful park. Now the tree roots are coming up. You can't even walk without spraining your ankle. It's just a mess. Truly a mess.
We can certainly put it under upkeep and talk about that.
That's all I have.
Okay, Greg?
Maybe we can invite someone out from Parks and Recreation to talk a little bit about
Take them
how
for
our
a walk
parks
out
fit
there.
in the budget.
Take them a walk out there. See if they don't sprain their ankle.
Okay,
It is
Greg, why don't you
complete
take
with
that for
overall.
action?
for a walk.
Get us a guest speaker for next month.
Okay.
Okay. Alrighty, items for new business. I don't think I have anything, and I don't have anything for director's comment tonight. I need a motion to adjourn.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.